All right, so we are good to go, and here we go. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and let's see. Michael's saying Matt, Cameron, Frank, Dave, and the crew are awesome. Hi, Mike. I got to give Mike a hug last week, so that was really awesome. So very cool. All right.
I will pass all of that along to them, Mike. They'll be very happy to hear.
All right, I'm going to share my screen. I got my deck up. Liz is going to jump back on, and she may or may not be me. It's totally possible that she will be me, and that's okay. I'm all right with Liz being me. Sometimes I want to be her. So, you know, we can do that.
That would be a fun switch up. You log in as Liz.
Right.
Logs in as Heather.
Oh my gosh. So we are totally live on Facebook. I think we're good. I'm going to go ahead and mute this site so that I can say hello to my friends that are going to be joining us there. And we're good to go. Hey, Liz.
She's back. And
there's pudding behind you. Is that pudding or barbecue sauce over your right shoulder?
It's the McDonald's menu.
Oh, okay. Are you having chicken nuggets while we're doing Appy?
Yeah. There's lots of things on my table that aren't mine, but and salt. And then the menu. So
right.
Cool, huh?
You still driving back from Connect, Liz?
You what?
Are you still driving back from Connect? Or no?
No, I'm headed back on the road. So I'm headed to Texas to teach Quickbooks Advanced Certification and grow your practice.
Oh, awesome. Where in Texas?
So the big sphere. So I think it's called the Reunion Tower is where this class is going to be taught, and it's going to be amazing. And I'm almost there, but I wasn't quite. And so I stopped in this little town that I couldn't find a Starbucks. So this is the McDonald's in the little town.
I love it. I love that you're joining us from McDonald's. I really do.
Well,
it's a first for Appy Hour. We've never done Appy Hour from a McDonald's before.
McDonald's Appy Hour. I know, it's awesome. So what I might end up doing is every once in a while just muting myself because they have music in the background.
That's okay. We can't really hear it. So I think we're good.
Okay,
so
cool.
You can totally mute yourself.
So, okay, all right, cool.
All right, everybody. So welcome to today's Appy Hour. We're super excited to have Kelly on the call with us. So Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. I am super excited to show people CollBox because I'm pretty sure that a huge number of people don't actually know what CollBox does, and they're going to be blown away by this. And the other cool thing, everybody, is that Kelly and I are switching roles. So Kelly is going to do our educational segment, and I get to do the demo. So I'm like super excited about that.
It's like topsy-turvy Appy Hour episode. Everything's different, but you gotta love it.
I know, it's so fun. So yeah, so it's gonna be fun. And I actually asked Kelly. If I could demo because I went in and kind of played with it this morning. I'm like, this is so easy to set up. I want to demo it. Like, I want to get in and demo because it's so easy to use, so easy to set up, and it's going to benefit so many small businesses to know about this. I mean, and then we have exciting news, right, Kelly, later on?
Yeah, we hit a milestone today as a company.
We did. I'm so excited. All right, so we're going to get Appy Hour started. And if I can get my slides to move. Ooh, we're not cooperating. So I'm going to start. I'm Heather Satterley. For those of you that I haven't met, or of those of you that I have met, I'm Heather. I have a firm called Satterley Training and Consulting, and I focus on helping others learn and use accounting and other cloud-based technologies. So I do process automation and work with clients to find the right solutions for their business, and then I help them through that implementation process. And I also work with Intuit to develop and deliver a lot of training. Like Liz is on the road. She's actually delivering some training that I think both you and I wrote some of this content that you're going to be delivering this
so true
this week. So yeah.
And then you want me to tell about myself?
Yeah, that would be great.
Heather can just do all the intros.
Yeah, I could tell them about you. Do you want me to do your intro too? I'm doing the demo. I could also do your intro.
I can tell about myself.
Okay, because I'm happy to.
So I'm Liz Scott, and where do I begin? No, just kidding. So I'm not like many of the people that are on this call, a practitioner just like yourself, and I have an accounting firm in Oklahoma, and QuickBooks is really all that we do. So whenever we figured out that we could actually focus on the things that we enjoyed instead of being in everything to everybody. We discovered that we actually really enjoy our firm more. And so it's become really, really fun to focus on e-commerce. And I really like complexity with integrations. And so that's really where I've spent a lot of my time. And that's where Appy Hour really began, is that my love of apps and Heather's love of apps, and then here you go. And so I love it whenever Heather was saying that she connected CollBox and she said that it's just so easy that she wanted to do the demo. I mean, that's a successful app. Whenever
It is a successful app.
and you can say it's ready to go and it's simplistic, that's a good sign.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made my day to hear that this morning. I was like, oh, I was so excited because you were so excited.
That's a win.
So Kelly, we need to introduce you. So Kelly, you've had, I think so many in our community know you because you've been such a part of our community for so long. I think you've actually been going to conferences longer than I have, because I met you the first year that I think I was at a conference.
The first year when we met in Providence.
That's right. That's right. That was, yeah, that's right. That was great. So that was the first Intuit event I have ever done, and so cool.
I'm sure we've talked about that, but I think I forget that because I feel like you have been around in this ecosystem forever. So that kind of blows my mind. That was your first one. How lucky was I that I got to be the one that was there?
We need to have a reunion, Kelly, because I ran into Don Brolin, MB Ramondi was there, Todd Robinson, Barry McQuarrie, Ron Baker was there.
Yeah, it was Ron's birthday too, I think.
And Valerie Heckman.
And Valerie, yeah, and Meredith from
Meredith, yep.
It was a great group of facilitators and vendors, and it was a really good event. It was
fantastic.
Definitely do a reunion, maybe at the next Intuit-centric thing where we all find ourselves at. That'd be fun.
Absolutely. Well, can you tell everybody what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I'm the head of accounting partnerships at a company called CollBox, which is obviously the app we're here to talk about, and pretty much checks all of my boxes for the things that I'm super passionate about in my professional life. It gives me another opportunity to keep growing relationships with the accounting partners that I've gotten to know over the last, feels like decade, but like 7 or 8 years, and also with a new tool that, like you were saying, Heather, is really, it's so easy to use, but it doesn't take away from kind of how revolutionary it is once you really understand its application and like what it's for. So I'm really excited to dig further into it and see you demo it. And the real test of if someone is my friend is if they can say my last name, but I won't make anyone do it live on air because we didn't practice.
I'm willing to try.
I'm totally kidding. It's up to you. You want to give it a try. It can't be worse.
You know what happens with me is like people can pronounce my name sometimes. So I'm either Satterley or Slattery, and
they just like slur.
Yeah. So the L and the R seem to go in different places in my last name.
That's interesting.
So, and I would say that for people that I don't know really well, I'm Slattery more than I'm Satterley. So I'm kind of right there with you.
It's always funny. Yeah. Sometimes there are just those certain letter combinations that trip people up. And an 11-letter last name that's pretty much all vowels is one of them for sure. That ends in a U. But yeah, you can give it a try.
All right, I'm gonna try. Is it Bistriceanu? No.
So close. Yes, it's Bistriceanu. I honestly
okay.
I feel like Americans just try to fancy it up too much. It's like it's a little bit more. It's like it's Romanian.
C is the ch instead of the sa. So that's where I went wrong. Okay, so I will never pronounce that wrong again, I hope.
No, and if you do, I will love you all the same.
Okay, deal. All right, so I'm excited that did I hear? I totally talked over you. I'm sorry.
I just said, and I'll never call you Heather Slatterly.
Satterley. I actually met somebody whose last name is Slattery, and they get called Satterley. So it's like a universal thing.
Like, a little bit of a brain trip there.
Right. All right, are you ready to dig in and show us? I love this content so much. You showed it to me a couple weeks ago, and it's amazing. So we at QuickBooks Connect, you know, a lot of talk was about workflow and understanding your workflow before you can select an app, and before you can, you know, start to put together your own internal processes. And that's actually what this whole curriculum that you've written is all about, and I just adore it. So. Yeah. I'm going to flip your slide. So you just tell me, you just say, next slide, Heather.
Okay. Awesome.
Next slide.
Well, next slide, let's dive on in.
All right. Well, huge thank you to you and to CollBox for joining us. And there's our agenda. And so let's jump right in. So we're going to optimize our accounts receivable workflow.
Yes, awesome. So I'll just give everybody that's on the webinar that hasn't had a chance to talk to anybody at CollBox about this yet some background on it. But yeah, when I started working for CollBox, it was one of the things that I realized is that, you know, CollBox is a part of AR, like the AR workflow, but it really doesn't give the user nearly the amount of benefit that it can if all the other steps that really go into best practices when it comes to AR aren't being considered. So I wanted to create something that would make it easy to at least begin that conversation for small businesses, like, you know, your clients of our accounting partners. It's actually the perfect tool to just like give to them and say, like, these are the steps you need to do. This is what you need to, these are the apps you need to find. These are the boxes you need to check. And it's really turned into a great tool that has not only helped CollBox sort of position ourselves, make it clear where we fit in that overall workflow, because there's more and more AR related tools, not only like third-party apps, but even like we're seeing more and more parts of the AR process starting to appear in product with QBO, and which is phenomenal. And it's great for us to be able to walk through best practices, you know, long before you even need CollBox. And then if you do end up needing us, knowing how that should fit into your overall AR procedure and just basically how to protect yourself and or your clients during every phase of the AR workflow, from customer in all the way through to a collection attempt, and then even the reconciliation, both literal and then like emotional reconciliation that should happen after the collection attempt to help the business owner grow and just get clarity on how they can avoid that situation in the future.
You know, it's so true. Planning is so key. It's, you know, we always go into things assuming the best, hoping that things are going to work out, and having a contingency plan and kind of understanding what is going to happen when things go sideways really takes the pressure off of the business owner, because nobody likes to be in that position where they feel like they're hounding their customers. And, you know, and so I love this. So I'm going to be quiet now.
It's such an uncomfortable position to be in.
It is.
Especially if you haven't done some of the initial things on the front end of that process, which really does start with client onboarding, to set expectations across the board between you and your client very clearly in a non-emotional fashion, so that if expectations are not met, well, they were clear on what was going to happen, and you don't have to feel, the business owner doesn't have to feel as like, you know, convicted or guilty about if they should be doing that to their client or not, because they know that they checked all the appropriate boxes. So It makes everything, it just takes the emotion out of it. It standardizes it for not only for you internally, but for your customers as well. They know what to expect. And yeah, I feel like one of the most emotional for all of us, like money is such an emotional thing. And when you've done great work and the fee or payment that you're owed is being withheld, it can feel like a very intentional slight. And depending on how you deal with conflict, you may just want to shy away from it and not deal with it, or you may get really angry, and which is not a lot of my accounting friends that I know, but maybe with the clients that get a little bit hot-headed. This is a way to just make it all very streamlined, still very comprehensive, but kind of just take the guesswork out of it. And Heather knows you can go ahead and advance the slide if you want to. when we were talking about this just in like our prep meeting, this entire like campaign or project that we've put together, I was like, well, I could probably talk about this alone for 2 hours. So how long do we have?
Right.
So this is obviously very high level.
Unpack it.
What's that, Liz?
I said there's so much there that is going to be unpacked. Like, what all are we looking at?
Right.
Yeah. We're totally going to have to go on like the high level approach, just to give the people watching a sense of, you know, what we've put together, why it matters. And then obviously if anyone's interested in learning more about it, they can they can visit our website and download the full workflow it has the recorded presentation, it has the little like workbook that goes along with it, the actual checklist, and a bunch of templates and stuff too. So let me talk, I suppose, about what actually this is all made of. So these are just some statistics that I like to share with people to sort of just emphasize the danger that can be, the real danger and the real pain that's felt by small businesses. So your clients, the small business owners that you know and you work with on a regular basis, and how it impacts not just them, but also the people that work for them. There's like this ongoing cycle around cash flow that's so just systemically negative and broken. You know, it's not just other businesses that suffer when you don't pay a vendor. It's everybody that might work for that business. Like I think, Heather, we talked about the example of, you know, Barney's in New York, the department store in Manhattan. They filed for bankruptcy back in, I believe it was July or August. Not actually their first bankruptcy, but this was kind of their biggest one. They're going to lose like their flagship store in Manhattan. And we don't need to go into why they filed for bankruptcy, but what I found so interesting about that was they had to release a list of their top 30 creditors as a part of the original disclosure. And there were lots of, you know, big name fashion brands on there that you'd expect to see. But the second largest creditor, the business that they owed the second largest amount of money to, is a fashion line called The Row, which is actually Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen's fashion line. And they owed them about $5 million in past due receivables and, or, you know, past due payables for Barney, past due receivables for The Row. And when I first saw that, I kind of like was like, well, they're Mary-Kate and Ashley hurting for that money. And then I thought about it a little bit more. And I was like, actually, I'm sure that one, they have great business managers that are making sure they aren't using their personal funds in their business. You know, they have to be making sure that they're allocating, they're not dirtying up any of like what money is going to where. So really, you know, The Row as a business just has an operating budget like any other business. And they do have tons of employees and tons of designers, contractors, you know, contracts with manufacturers, et cetera, that not getting that $5,000 back is guaranteed, or sorry, $5 million back is guaranteed to impact. And it's kind of just a good example of no matter how large a business is, no matter how, you know, powerful or influential the people associated with it are, this is a danger kind of at any level of operations. I'm just seeing Liz's comment. And so these statistics kind of drive that home, but on an SMB level. So people will get the deck, right, Heather? I think she's saying yes. But so yeah. I read every single one.
So if you, yeah, and I was just going to say, if you just send me the link to the link on your website where they can download the whole presentation and all of your checklists, that would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll watch this later. We'll be able to take advantage of it too.
Yep. So we don't need to go through all the statistics. I'll let people read them as they're interested later. But the one I think is like really kind of gut wrenching is the fact that you know, there's if business owners, if US-based small businesses were actually getting paid on time, they'd have an additional 2.1 million jobs that they could create. Like that's a lot of additional jobs in our economy that would be really beneficial at any given point. And there's always this, I think, this sense too of like, well, what does small business really encompass? So I just think it's interesting to note that for these numbers, what's being qualified as a small business is 500 employees or less. And that's almost 100% of the businesses in this country. So it's a big problem. It's not like it just affects little businesses, and it doesn't just affect super big businesses. It's really universal. So it's kind of just like stage setting stuff. We can get into like the actual stages of the AR workflow on the next slide.
So, Kelly, I mean, like what that slide does for me is it makes me also think that that's worthy of sharing with our clients too.
Yeah.
That it would be one of those resources that Heather, I liked what you said to share that link.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that's important is that we're saying this out loud to our clients. They're not the only ones that are struggling with cash flow. That we all know this as a community, that we see these things happening throughout our client files, but for them to know that they're not alone and that these are real people that are struggling, and that there is statistics out there that are saying all of these businesses are having issues. And of course that there's help out there, and that's the whole reason that CollBox is here today to help us. But in those stats were just really, really jaw-dropping and sad.
A lot of businesses this close to just having to shut their doors forever because of AR issues. It's not because of the lack of necessarily it's not because they aren't generating new sales. In a lot of cases, they're generating sales so quickly and have to scale up so fast, and their back office, especially when it comes to receivables, doesn't stay up to speed with the growth. And before they know it, they're in like a major cash flow hole. So I think, yeah, Liz, it's such a good point that like these are important metrics, I think, to share with your clients. Also, to emphasize that it's not just them, but also to emphasize the gravity of like, there really is both, opportunity in looking at tightening up your AR process and how you handle AR to save your business in the future. This could be the catalyst that makes sure that you make it through your first year, or like, I think statistically then the 5th year after the first year is like the hardest one for a lot of businesses. And if they're ever sort of like not seeing eye to eye with you on that, or aren't sure if it's really that big of an issue for them, it's like, well, chances are you fall within this 97%. So
chances are. Well, and I think that's really important to point out that it's not just bad businesses that fail. Good, successful businesses fail, and it's because of AR.
Yeah, I talk about this in that full presentation, but we have a customer case study of a CollBox user who that was exactly his situation. There's a few different like types, like persona types that get into this situation frequently. And one of them is the entrepreneur that is just so focused on the horizon, on like, I make the joke of like, they're like Alec Baldwin in that movie, like always be closing. Like, they're just thinking about the next sale, and they feel like the back office stuff will sort of all work itself out. And they don't really even slow down enough to realize the trouble they're in until someone tells them like, hey, I didn't get paid this week. Like, can you tell me why our payroll didn't process or something like that? Which happened to one of our customers, and he, obviously before he was working with us. And part of it was he wasn't working with any sort of a trained accounting professional. He wasn't, I think like his assistant was doing his billing and invoicing and all of his bookkeeping in QBO. So at least they had that going for them. But once he was able to get matched with a really good accounting professional and found the right tools like CollBox and like some of the others we'll talk about, they were able to dig out of that cash flow hole in about 3 months and get back to being cash positive, because the business should have been very cash positive, but it wasn't because they weren't collecting.
They weren't collecting. Yeah. Okay. So that was one example. You said there were 3. So what are the other 2?
Well, there's the business owner that just doesn't like to
connect.
Yeah. They don't like to think about it. They would rather ignore it and hope that something, something else will work out sort of mentality.
There's clients like that?
What?
What? There's clients like that?
Yeah. I think we're all in some ways in our lives, even just guilty of that mentality. Might not be about our AR, but we all have those conversations, the points of conflict we want to avoid. And for a lot of business professionals, especially like people who are in the professional service industry, this is kind of it's a sensitive subject for them. They don't really know. Part of it is that they don't know if they've really done all the right things to justify having the conversation. And when your work is not is qualitative, not quantitative, I think there's a human instinct to second guess your value and wonder, like, well, did I really do everything I could have to make this client happy? Is it on me? You internalize it and sort of then just avoid the conversation because you have subconscious or conscious guilt, and you just kind of don't want to face it and maybe hear those things, even if they're not true. Because at the end of the day, if you met the scope of the scope that was outlined in the proposal of work or in the client's client onboarding process, then you lived up to everything that you had to. It's kind of like pushing themselves to have that conversation is difficult for that type. And then there is the type of business owner that thinks they can do everything themselves. They have a hard time delegating even tasks that can be done for free for them, and recognizing that, like, you are the most valuable person in your business's organization. You shouldn't be spending the time calling everybody and trying to chase these invoices. You should be the one that's, like, outsourcing it to a professional, waiting, happy that it's being taken care of, with the confidence that it will be taken care of to the best of anyone's capabilities, not just yours. So there's, like, either they're afraid to relinquish it, and because they're busy, they never actually do it. And when they do it, they're not super effective at it. The business owner that just avoids it and doesn't want to think about it for all the reasons we discussed, or the one that doesn't even realize they have a problem until it's almost too late. And in some cases, unfortunately, it can be too late. So those are kind of our three biggest habitual offenders.
Thanks for sharing that. That was great.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And thank you for asking. I appreciate that. So to move through the actual, because I want to make sure Heather gets time to demo too.
Did you want me to go back, or did I
go back to the stages? I'll just talk through the stages.
Perfect. Awesome.
So these are the 5 stages that we've outlined in our, what we call the ultimate AR workflow. And each stage has a correlating checklist that also shows you the tasks that should be done by stage, and also by timeline of stage. And the timelines are flexible, so it can really work for any business. So pre-sale is defined as the period of time that really you should take to evaluate with on your own or with your business partners, the key stakeholders internally, what you want to see, how you want to get paid, what you want to be paid, and any other sort of expectations that you want to set around a customer's agreement or contract, or just around the next sale that's made if there's not a specific customer in mind yet, to ensure that you're happy doing the work, that you feel valued, and that you feel fulfilled doing what you're doing. You don't feel like you're working for less than your worth. It's important to really have clarity on that for yourself, like before you onboard that next client, and revisit the conversation frequently so that you're never underselling yourself. And then it's just as important, once you outline those payment terms, when you want to be paid, with what system you would like to receive payment. Are you going to take cash or paper checks? I don't know why you would, but is that an option? Are you only going to be taking ACH or only taking credit card? And if so, are you going to pass? I could go on and on, but anyway, it's what you need to decide before the sale happens, including the consequences that you will enforce if those expectations aren't met. I kind of think that's the part that we don't often think enough about. And we know in general what we want to, how much we'd like to make, and the dates we'd like to receive the invoices paid by. But if someone is late or doesn't meet that payment deadline, are you going to start charging them a late fee? Is it going to be percentage, or is it going to be a flat fee, or both? Is there going to be any kind of grace period if they're a first-time late payer, if they're a first-time offender? There's a lot of things to think about. So I outline all of that in the pre-sale process, and actually I have a template for, I know the majority of the accountants on here have their own, really good client engagement letters already, but I have a template that you can use either to renew one that you've been working for your own business, or just pass along to a client that needs to do this type of evaluation, but won't do it on their own. It's been reviewed by an attorney. It's like fully ready to just be essentially like input the values and the terms and conditions you want, and go to work.
I don't have, I mean, in my engagement letter, I explain the terms of the engagement, but I don't have any kind of clause in my current engagement letter that says what happens if I don't get paid.
Oh.
And I think that that's something that you kind of opened my eyes to, is like, okay, you know, we usually do retainer work, but we bill at the end too. So, you know,
and or with even with retainer work, a credit card's on file with the client. That relationship may be great for the first 7 months, and then for some reason, you go to it. You know, it goes to be processed on the 8th month, and it bounces back as insufficient funds, or maybe the card's just expired. But if the client doesn't contact you in a timely manner to update that information so that you can bill them, or they, even worse, just try to like ghost you completely to get out of the rest of the contract balance, that's not okay. Like that's, you know, that's just as bad as if they were completely ghosting on the entire balance of the whole project. So I think, if a professional of your caliber, Heather, does not have it, then I'm sure that maybe there are a lot more than I even don't. But that's why it's one of those things. It's not the standard that you're necessarily thinking through when you're just thinking about like the scope of work and the necessary details you want to communicate to the client, so that you both have an understanding of what the work together is going to look like. This is more like also you being very clear on what you need, you know, what you need to take care of you, and making sure that they're signing a document when they become your client that acknowledges that they understand what you're asking for and they agree to comply with it. So we have those templates, and then in the checklist, it's like every little thing that I recommend you consider is outlined in there. So anyone who's interested in that, you know, Heather will send you the link and you can download the copy and get all of it, access to all of it. So that's pretty cool.
And we'll put that on our website too. So
we'll definitely do that.
With this episode, when we post our episodes, we always put the resources with it and in the CollBox, so that'll be there. But you know, I also put it in chat too. I mean, is anybody else covering what happens if somebody doesn't pay you? So I'm just curious. Heather, you said it's not in your engagement letter.
It's not. And I mean, I've been lucky because I mean, I've been in business. It'll be 3 years in January. Can you believe it? And I haven't had to write anything off, so I haven't had any issues. But I feel like you just helped me. Like now I can do it before I can put it into my engagement letter, so that because it will happen. It will happen. It happens to everybody, unfortunately.
It does, unfortunately. Yeah.
So I put it in chat too, because I was just curious, because I want you to move on. Yeah. But I wanted to put it in chat to see if other people were doing that, because I don't think that our engagement letter covers the exact verbiage of what happens if you don't pay.
Right.
And even there's also beyond like the template whole example that we have, there's also just this one paragraph that someone who already loves the rest of their engagement letter and feels really confident with it can add if they don't have a term specifically around there's just like 4 lines of text you can add that says if the client's delinquency on payment leads to your company having to seek the help of either a third-party debt collection agency or an attorney, you know, if it's a large enough amount, you'd actually be thinking about legal action, that the client would be responsible for any additional fees that would be incurred in that process, which is, once again, it's not about scaring your clients, but it's just about showing them that you take yourself seriously. And if a client gets really skeeved out by that in the process of signing the agreement, there's probably a red flag there that is indicative of someone who would cause problems down the line. So anyway, for the sake of time, I'll move on, but I love you guys have had such good input and questions about all of this. But so yes, the post-sale phase is essentially then, all right, great, that sale's been made, that client signed on the dotted line and agreed to the terms of your contract, you're ready to get to work. What do you need to do in that post-sale phase when they're officially a customer, meaning the balance is now pending, or you have an invoice created, but it's not due yet. Nothing's late. That for a lot of businesses, that's like a 30-day period, maybe less of maybe depending on the business model. Liz, for some of your clients that are in e-commerce, there may be almost no payment terms on their standard deals. So it's just evaluating what to do, what needs to happen in that time frame based on the payment terms, the length of the payment terms that you have set, including just like, you know, gentle nudges and reminders of, hey, your balance is coming due. And I talk about how to do that in a non-invasive, non-annoying way. And I have templates for each touch that we recommend that you send out to just try to make it as easy as possible. We don't do automated invoice reminders. It's not like a attempt at that. It's just a way to like, if this is something that's on your mind, even if you have an automated invoice platform or you're using QBOs reminders, like you can use this language to make them more effective. And then, so pre-collections is the stage where that account has then actually become due. And just what steps do you need, or it's actually late now, it's late. They've passed the due date, and what are the steps that you need to do, and how soon, and then how frequently do you need to revisit them in that pre-collection stage to hope to still recover the payment owed on the account internally. That's kind of the big difference between like pre-collection and collection. Is pre-collection is the period of time normally from like 0 days late to 90 days late, where you're still trying to recover that revenue internally without having to engage anybody, you know, any type of third party. And what are the steps that you can make sure you're doing to actually give yourself the best chance of success at that? A lot of it can be automated. And for the steps that can't, once again, we've tried to give you templates like demand letter templates for both consumer sales and business clients. And if you get to 60 days and they've been ignoring you, you should send a demand letter out with the deadline of they have 30 more days to respond, or it is going to go to collections. And then collections, that's where that's the next phase. And that is where you formally engage a third party agency. Essentially, you've spent enough of your time, or your team has spent enough of their time invested in trying to chase that account. They need to be focusing on servicing the clients that are paying, or getting new clients and helping the business grow. And it's time to just trust it to a professional who does nothing but try to collect all day. And we talk a lot about how to know how to find the best collection agency for your business based on vertical that your business is in, and then even one more condition of thinking about the vertical that your customer is in, if they're business or a consumer. And it's, if it's going to be a very different type of agency that helps to collect from like on past due, like med spa debt, like, just like something that comes to mind, was mostly consumers, isn't something that's being billed through insurance, so there's no help there. That's a very different type of agency than the agency that's going to help collect from a contractor that never, a construction company that never paid you for the balance that was owed on their consulting you did on their website or something. I'm spitballing. And a lot of that, the majority of the collections step can be automated in CollBox, and that's part of what Heather's going to show you during the demo. But I really didn't want to make this like a CollBox pitch. Like, I really just wanted to make it educational. And here's what.
I just started laughing because I was like, oh my gosh, I know, but we've got 20 minutes.
I know. Oh, wow, I know. Okay, and then post-collection is just the evaluation that you can do after, both to make sure that you don't get in that situation again, and that you're just like literally reconciling any data that you need to back to your accounting platform. Because if you aren't using a tool that integrates with it, then you want to make sure that that happens as well. But yeah, we can move on. And then anybody that has additional questions is welcome to reach out to me. And obviously Heather and Liz will make sure the link for more information is also available to you guys. Sorry, I got kind of off on a tangent. These are just examples of some of the templates that we have. This is a close-up of the templated agreement that we have, specifically focusing on that collection and legal text, where it's like, hey, because that is like, there's nothing to even customize. It's very standard. If that's something you are interested in checking out for your own business for your clients, would welcome you to download it and see what you think, and let us know what you think.
Jim just said that he doesn't mind at all if you get detailed about CollBox. So we have lots of interest here.
So that,
yeah, definitely.
This is the sample reminder schedule, when to send out reminders in that post-sale phase, and what types of, like, how to sort of focus the reminders so they're not annoying. Once again, we have templates for each one of these. In the actual full presentation I go through it in a little bit more detail to just sort of give a high level examples of how these can actually not just help you get paid on time or early, but also help you grow your relationship with your clients, because it doesn't need to be all about like, hey, you owe me money, hey, you owe me money.
And I love these templates, Kelly, because it really, it helps you to sit down and think through the process, document, your own processes in your firm, and also be able to do a little bit of a brain dump and really kind of organize it. I know that when I'm thinking about the processes in my own firm, I've got to put it down on paper. I've got to put it, or an Excel spreadsheet or whatever. It's not on paper. It's digitally in a visual, something visual that I can read and kind of work through. So.
Yeah, I literally have to like either whiteboard it out. I do sometimes still write it on paper, depending on what it is. If it's like a process that I want to think through in more of like a linear focus. This is another example of one of those actual, like the written out form of the invoice reminders. So.
Right. And we're going to be we have actually our next episode, which is, we're going to skip Thanksgiving week and we're going to do December 10th is our next episode. We actually have AR Collect. And so they handle this part of the collection process.
And they're a great partner. Like,
yeah.
They're a great partner for the invoice chasing part.
Yeah.
And their templates are super easy to customize. So sometimes that's the hardest part. You sit down and it's like, okay, I know I have this ability to automate this step, but what content do I need to put in here to automate it? And that's where the two together can be really powerful. Yeah.
Definitely. I totally see them complementing each other. All right. And so this is great. So really coming up with these, I'm so sorry. Coming up with these ahead of time is helpful, like you said, because it takes the emotion out of it. So you already know what you're going to do. So by the time you get to, somebody hasn't paid you, you realize it's going to be a problem. Instead of thinking about, well, what do I do? You already have the process. It's not an emotional thing. It's like, okay, they're at, 45 days past late. We know we send this letter, and I think that really does make it more comfortable for both the client or the customer and, the small business owner.
It takes the stress of having to react in the moment and figure out what to do in the moment out of the whole process. So then obviously we love to talk about apps. So we talk about apps that are helpful from this whole, in every part of this workflow, every stage of this workflow, from client onboarding. And also one of the things I like hit on repeatedly in the actual AR workflow presentation is the importance of documenting your client communication. There's a lot of tools that are starting to offer that now, but I mean, you do not want to get to the point where you're working with a third-party debt collector or even considering suing someone and they're saying, well, your attorney or the agency you're working with is saying, well, where's your, do you have a paper trail that shows that they did agree to this and they were working with you and happy with the work? They're saying that they were never happy with the work. And you're like, well, I had text messages with them. But you want to make sure things are in a audit compliant format where you can easily export those conversations. So just, once again, it's all about like protecting yourself. So if you do need to escalate to the next level, you can do so without worry.
Right.
Yeah. If anyone has any other questions, and this is sort of just a call to action to download the workflow and see what you think. And we say like, don't just take my word for it, put it to the test. And
it's free. I mean, that's the other thing is it's free for you. It's free for your client. You're only going to pay if, they collect money for you. So, and I'm going to show during my demo how easy it is to see what you're going to pay. Like they tell you, this is what you're going to pay if we collect the money. So you can make an informed decision. It's not like you're going, well, I don't know what I'm going to get, before you actually place the debt for collection.
Yep. It's all super transparent and super upfront.
Right. I'm so
okay.
See your drink, Heather. You're the only one.
I'm the only one with the drink.
She was like, that means you have to drink twice as much.
And it's so pretty. Look how pretty it is.
It is really pretty.
I will tell you how it is. So it's vanilla rum. I have to tell you, I couldn't find vanilla rum, so I'm doing vanilla vodka. So
I was like, I think I only really drink rum when I'm like in, the Bahamas or Mexico or something.
It is very it's very tropical. It's very tropical. The other thing I just realized that I did is I forgot to put the Sprite in, but it doesn't need it.
I was going to say, so you just got vanilla vodka, orange juice.
Vanilla vodka, which gives it a nice flavor. I don't know what, it does something very cool to it. the orange juice, and then the grenadine. And I
All
forgot.
right, listen, you have to drink fast because I want to see CollBox.
Thanks, Liz. All right, I'm going to demo CollBox.
Yeah, I want to see it.
I'm so excited.
Because I've got people in mind for this. And so it's like one of those things that let's see it in action, because
All
I
right.
absolutely love everything that you've shown us, Kelly. I love all the resources. Our people love resources. Okay, quiet.
Checklists are
I
amazing.
want to see this.
All right. So first of all, I just want to talk about my experience this morning. So I got up early this morning and I knew that Kelly was coming on the show, and I haven't used CollBox myself. So I was like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to connect it to my sample company and just see, see how it works. And it was so easy. I mean, I connected the way we normally do. And then once you connect, it walks you through, it gives you a video. So there's an awesome video that it's like a 3-minute video that just kind of explains the whole workflow. And then after you watch the 3-minute video, all I had to do was I had to verify my email, which was easy. And then I went into the integrations tab here and I clicked connect to QuickBooks. And then we all know that we have the OAuth authentication. I did that. And then bam, like as soon as I did that, there it was. All of my collectibles that were inside my QuickBooks Online company were listed here. I have 8 collectible amounts. I have 1 non-collectible amount. And the non-collectible amount, it has a sad face, but it's okay because it's not due yet. So it's not a bad thing.
Exactly. It's not really bad. It's not a bad thing. We've talked about separating this bucket eventually from like the ones that are non-collectible because they're maybe too old. Like, if an invoice is 15 years old, it's outside the jurisdiction. I'm sorry. But that's very different from, hey, it's not due yet. Like these are your accounts in great standing.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And like make it a happy color like pink.
Yeah, I think exactly like pink.
Yeah. So what I can do is, there's really, under the settings, when you first set it up, it walks you through the settings and it actually has a nice little, I don't know what that word for that icon is that walks you through each one of the steps.
Like it directs you to the next one.
Yes, it does. It walks you through it. So it's super easy. So you go in, you put in your first and last name and phone number. You can put in a password, or you can just use the OAuth, which is what I do. So I don't need a password. Then you set up your notifications. So if you want to receive past due account reports, you can do that. Or if you don't want to look at that because maybe you're getting things out of QuickBooks, you can uncheck it. And then the integrations. And this was cool. You can import from a spreadsheet. And if you can connect to other accounting platforms, which is great. So it also shows the last sync. So I can see the last sync. And there's an accountant version, right? So in the accountant portal, which you showed me, Kelly, you actually have a client tab over here on the left-hand side. So you can view all of your clients and then you can manage the receivables on their behalf, which is really great. So let's collect from this deadbeat Heather Satterley. So Heather Satterley's a deadbeat and she owes us money and it's, oh my gosh, it's over a year old. So let's see what CollBox is going to do with that. So if I click on it, it's going to tell me that I can actually go and see what the collection offer is going to be. And so what the collection offer is, and correct me, Kelly, because I'm a newbie, if I say this incorrectly, but the collection offer is they have, CollBox has relationships with collection agencies all over the country. And so they're looking for the right collection agency for your particular receivable. So it actually goes out to a market and then they find the one that is the right fit for your particular company and the invoice that you're collecting on. And then they come back with the collection offer. So if I go ahead and click on the collection offer, I can choose whether it's a commercial or consumer account. If I want to keep the customer, so I need to collect the money, but I want to do business with them in the future, I can say, hey, please handle them with care. I don't want to make them mad. I want them to come back eventually.
Or if you're like an influencer in your space and you just don't want to burn that bridge.
Right.
Maybe you really never want to work with them yourself again, but you don't want them going around and bad mouthing you because you want to handle it with care. In the age of social media and instant backlash and cancel culture, there's just sometimes you absolutely don't want to mess around with it. I would argue that this person has defaulted on a large amount of money, and what ground do they really have to stand on? But it's sometimes just better to not have to go there.
Now, is this something I can change later, or do I just select this now and then that's the way?
So you could contact the agency you get matched with and later and let them know like, hey, I'm fine with you taking the more standard approach. All of our agencies, we only work with agencies that have incredibly ethical tactics for collection. They have to meet our standards for what we consider to be ethical as well as effective collection tactics. We don't want them using things that don't work, that are ineffective, that people were doing, 40 years ago, but no longer are relevant to today's business owners or today's consumers. So they have to both have no black marks on their reputation or Better Business Bureau reports or anything. We have several, before we even allow an agency to join the network, they get very thoroughly vetted. And then once they do join, they can only apply essentially to be relevant to a certain vertical of debt. And they have to show success collecting on that type of debt before we will let them grow and try to then prove success in other areas. Because what we've found is that when you, every collection agency will typically tell you if they're on their own volition, they'll tell you that they're the best at collecting on anything. Oh yeah, we got it. Anything, doesn't matter, we got it. But truthfully, most of them have 1 or 2 areas of specialty that they are actually very good at collecting on, and the rest are sort of like, they'll give it a try, but they aren't the specialist in that area. So by matching our clients, our CollBox users to the agency that both fits like their need in terms of like white glove approach, and then also the industry that is applicable to that account, because it's not about you guys. So you guys are accounting professionals and trainers. It's not about what you do. It's about the customer that you're sending to collections. What do they do, and who's effective in collecting in that area? And that could be a million different types of verticals across your customer base. So that's why we really found this need to have a network that we had vetted and that we, could control the types of accounts that they had access to. And it actually doubles the chance of seeing a successful collection versus going to like a generalist that you just like Google or something.
Right. So we can also choose the minimum amount we'd like to settle. So with this one that's over a year old, maybe like 60%, but you get to choose. And then if you have a contract that says that they're responsible for the debt, then you would select yes or no.
Yeah.
And then you just click display offer. Uh-oh. Did it kick me out?
It looks like you may need to log back in. You might have just been logged out for 2 or logged
again. Let's see.
I love it that it's live though. So you got logged out because of time, but still I love it that you get these live.
You may need to
offers.
Here we go. Sorry, everybody.
No, it's okay.
We're all used to the digital world.
Now I know. Right, let's get this deadbeat Heather to pay us. All right. So I want the white. No, well, I want to keep that customer. I kind of like Heather.
And
and I want to get. We'll say take 60%.
The 2 fields that you just changed. Oh, perfect. Okay, let's talk through this.
Yeah.
So this is the actual. Then CollBox pretty much instantly matches you to the best agency in our network that will have the highest chance of a successful collection for that account. The rate you see is the agency's bid for them to work this account. Every time you get a bid through CollBox, it's always going to be a contingency bid. So you're not paying anything unless they only get, so in this case, it would be 33% of the dollars they actually recover for you. If they don't recover anything, then it's completely free. If they recover a portion of it, then they get 33% of whatever they recovered, not 33% of the entire account, no matter what, because then they would pay themselves before they pay you, which is not what we want to happen. The recoverable amount is just like, if you accepted that rate, it just basically the platform does the math for you, which if you're not an accounting expert like me and like you, it's like helpful. It just like you don't have to be like, okay, 33% of, so that is the actual amount that you would get back if 100% of that account was recovered minus the agency's fee. And the odds of collection, I wanted to speak to this because it sometimes throws people off. So we are all about transparency. So that number, that stat is actually something we generate based on the age of your account, and just essentially like some of the other variables you answer on the last page. It's not something that comes from the agency. It's something we want to just be communicating to set expectations with our customers correctly. because collections isn't successful 100% of the time. It's not a guarantee. The older the account, the less likely it is to be collected. But we see accounts that come through with like low odds of collection, or sometimes it even says very low, that are recovered every day. So it's not it shouldn't be a stopgap. It's really just us trying to be transparent and upfront with you.
Alicia has a question. She wants to know, is it more expensive if you want to handle with care? So does the rate go up?
No, thank you so much for asking that question, Alicia. No, it is not. That has no effect on the rate whatsoever. The two biggest things that affect the rate are the age of the placement. So once a placement gets over 12 months, so over a year old, that's when you'll start to really see that number creeping up. And then if it's commercial versus consumer, collecting from a consumer is always harder than collecting from a business owner for a variety of reasons. And so the rate with a consumer account actually starts around 35%, even if it's like 3 months old. With a commercial account, it starts around 25% and it'll go up mostly based on age. The other factors that we have you answer there, that's just to match you with the best agency. We have a few agencies that specialize in that white glove, more of like a consultative, like mediation sort of approach to collections. And we ask that to just make sure you go to the correct one. And then we ask you the question about the amount you'd be willing to settle for. Keep in mind, these agencies are only compensated on what they actually recover for you. So they'll always try to get you the most that they possibly can. But it can be just, they use it sometimes for leverage. If they know that like, all right, so Heather said she was willing to accept, 60%. We obviously don't want her to give up 60%, but I was feeling that if I tell this guy that's on the phone right now, I can knock off 10% of the amount owed if he pays in full today. And that will be like what gets him to move forward. They'll leverage it in that capacity, but they always strive to get you the most back in hand possible.
I have something staggering to say.
Oh,
it's whoa. It's whoa.
Say it.
Okay. So if you don't try and collect, you won't get anything.
Exactly.
that's right.
So, all right. So I love the concept of CollBox, and I totally get it. The older that it is, the less likely you are to be able to collect it. So your collection rate is going to go down. So my question is, we are at the top of the hour right now. Heather, do we have a poll? Or do we want to have
a poll? So let me put the poll out.
Because I want to be able to say, I'm one of these people who would like to definitely have more information. And if you're like me and you want to have CollBox reach out to you, and you have a client in mind or clients in mind that you want to say, hey, if you don't have anybody collecting on your open AR, you're never ever going to be able to close those.
You'll eventually probably write them off for a loss, like
right.
You invested, even if there's no overhead, it's just your time, that's still a loss. Yeah. And we all have enough write-offs, like as business owners, the majority of us have enough write-offs, but we don't always have enough revenue. So
and we've gotten really good at being, as accountants and bookkeepers, really good at being able to write off, but it's like we need to get really good at showing our clients that there's other alternatives for collections. Yeah. So I want to tell everybody that I am very appreciative of their time. And Kelly, I am very appreciative of you coming on today and presenting. You gave us a ton to think about. And I actually really liked the slide that was the biggest impact for me, was the one where you were showing the stats on how many jobs are affected by businesses closing. So thank you for bringing that to us.
You're so welcome. I'm appreciative of you ladies having us on and letting me share this with you. I've kind of fantastic about it, but
no offense. How many people on the call, and you guys, I think you guys can raise your hands. I didn't realize that that's what CollBox did. So, and I think you guys have the ability to raise your hand. So a bunch of hands are going up. So
because until I started working, I didn't totally get what they did either.
And we have the big announcement, Kelly. We have this huge announcement.
Oh yeah, and we also had a question too. So let me ask this question. Yes. So there was a question about, is CollBox available in Canada?
Yes, we are.
Okay, there we go. So Allison, there's your question.
Perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
The big deal. While we were getting ready to come on the show, Kelly got a text message because CollBox had actually reached a huge milestone. And so this is our celebratory slide for that milestone.
Crossed $1 million recovered. So like a successfully collected on behalf of our clients or our customers, which is awesome. That's $1 million back in the cash flow budgets of small business owners that wouldn't have it otherwise. You know, it's like, it's really cool. Helps you like gauge the impact you're actually getting to make.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you. Our coolest thing this month, I don't want to make this quick because this shouldn't be a quick thing, but if you didn't hear the news, and you can check out a blog article on our website, Right Networks is our champagne level sponsor for 2020. So you're going to see a lot of great collaboration between Appy Hour and Right Networks, including highlights of Transaction Pro, importer, deleter, exporter, and also
Spotify.
thank you, Audify. So we're super excited. We couldn't be more happy. And we actually had announced that at QuickBooks Connect last Tuesday, where we shared a toast with Joel Hughes, and we did some interviews with Blake Oliver and Jim Boomer. So if you want to check out those interviews and that session, it is out on YouTube. It's also on our website. Make sure you do visit our website. That's where you're going to find the amazing resources that Kelly's going to share with you guys. We'll put a link out to their website so you can download all those checklists and the plan to get your accounts receivable processes, in order. And you can also watch our past episodes and get our drink recipes and send us a message if you like.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we look forward to joining us on the next one.
Absolutely. So we'll see you guys. We're going to continue our discussion of AR by talking optimizing your AR workflows part 2 with AR Collect. So they do something completely different in the AR accounts receivable space. So we'll be taking a deep dive there. And Kelly, thank you so much. It's always such a joy to spend time with you.
I always love getting to hang out with you ladies in person, virtually, anytime there's an opportunity. Yeah, thank you for having me, and thanks everyone for hanging out and spending the hour with us. It was a pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have an awesome week, and we'll see you in December. And have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday as well.
Yes. Oh, yes. Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble. Take care, everybody.
Let us know how it is, since Liz and I didn't get to try it.
Right.
That's right.
Get a cocktail. I'm going to finish mine.
I wish it wasn't. It was like 1 o'clock here when we got on the call. So.
Right.
Never too early. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Liz. Drive safe the rest of the way.
Thank you.